The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory in relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. Again, if you haven't seen the first in this series, I would encourage you to please watch that one. It's foundational to explaining some of the background about why we have different styles of management and where they come from, and some different reasons for the goodness of some variation, but also the risks of some of the extremes. This is the fourth in the series, and today we are focusing on the team members of absent managers. Now, what do I mean by absent managers? They might be geographically absent, meaning their office is far from yours. They might be kind of absent in other senses. Maybe they're there with you, but they're not really there with you. And again, there are different reasons for that and different ways to respond to that. I want to offer several suggestions, professionally and personally, that can be helpful to those team members. First, we must remember that all of us have to be about the vision. And second, that our boss is probably struggling too. He's a human being, or she's a human being. Just a reminder, vision. Vision is a very specific picture of a better future for the team. Not just a better work environment, but what is the team there to accomplish? What is your reason for being, your raison d'etre, so to speak? That will let you know what needs to happen, even if the manager is not there, because as much as we want the work environment to be better, we have to remember the purpose of why we as an individual are there, so we can work toward that even when the manager is giving us guidance or not. So that will take your focus off of the person that you're really thinking a lot about. I want more guidance from them, I want more supervision, I want more help, I want more feedback, and it'll remind you of the greater goal, which is the vision. Secondly, to remember that your boss is human and is probably struggling too. There's a reason for the way they are right now. Doesn't mean they can't change, but something has gotten them to that point. And the more you can see them as a person who has a difficulty behind that style of management, the more likely you are to have compassion on them and to work with them as part of the team. Secondly, we need to seek to understand when they are most and least open. There are certain times of the day, certain times of the week when they're more likely to be receptive to you approaching them, and other times they'll be less likely. They're already struggling probably with conflict resolution. They have chosen to distance themselves, and the most common reason for that is they don't deal well with conflict. So there's sometimes that is more of an issue with them, and so they're less open. There's sometimes when that's less of an issue with them, and so they're more open. You need to discern when those times are. If they, for example, have a very difficult meeting with their own boss every Monday morning, and that probably doesn't go well, maybe because they have a very demanding boss above them, or maybe they're not well equipped as a manager, and for that reason it's not going well with them. They're probably going to be less open to you coming in because they're already conflicted internally. If they've got some different things going on at home that aren't so well, and they have a lunch every Wednesday with their spouse, and they struggle during that time, probably right after that lunch is not a good time. Ask about their scheduled rounds and offer to assist them toward the vision. Now, there's several parts of that. One is implying that they need to have scheduled rounds to see the team members. If they don't, you can offer to assist them by scheduling those. If they still don't want to, you can very positively phrase to your boss, sir, ma'am, sergeant, whoever, coach, the team needs you out there. You've got wisdom that we don't have, Now, say whatever is true. You've got experience that we don't have. You've got inside information. You've got connections. Whatever is true and good. Now, don't try to pull one over on them, because they can see through that. Whatever is true and good, say that, and say they need you. And the more you get out there and help them, boss, the more you're going to succeed. Set them up for their own success. And when you talk about scheduled rounds, that also implies, but you can say this specifically, they need to do this on a regular basis. Not once a year, not once a quarter, but on a regular basis, and let them know this will communicate your care for the team. This will keep bad news or a lack of work from building up, because the more you proactively engage them, the more likely they are to get their work done well. By you getting out there to help us, we are more likely to make that happen for you. So let them know that you're making the rounds for the success of the vision. Whenever you dialogue, do it in person, specifically, briefly, and solution-focused, again, toward the vision. Let me take that in parts. As much as possible, you need to dialogue with them as opposed to monologue. An email can be a monologue. There's no two-way conversation. Sitting in a meeting and listening to them is a monologue. Dropping by their office to give a quick report to them is a monologue. A dialogue is give and take, and you do that in person, because you are kind of drawing out of them conversation. So even though you may have initiated it, you're helping them to initiate guidance for you in priorities, in the vision, in the plan, and any hurdles that they may know of. So you're really helping them to talk. We want to do it specifically but briefly, because for different reasons they may already be a little standoffish, whether it's they don't do conflict well, or other reasons that they may be absent in their management style. We don't want to be there for 30, 45 minutes or an hour, because then that's just ramping up their anxiety. The more we stay, the more likely there is to be some type of conflict in their mind. Make sure it's solution focused, that you're not just bringing them problems, but you're saying, hey boss, we've got a problem here. These are 3 things that you might consider, boom, 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 give them the reasons for it, because that will help them to make a decision, and again, set them up for success. And again, all toward the vision, the specific reason that the team exists. Another thing you can do is regularly tell them your needs for the vision, that you need goals from them, priorities from them, resources for them. So you're going to them, you're initiating this, but you are implying or being explicit that you need them to initiate giving you the goals, because the goals or objectives sometimes change week to week as you grow toward the vision. Their priorities, which may change. What was priority 2 last week might be priority 1 this week, or what was priority 1 last week might be priority 10 this week. But that is information you need, and let them know that you need this to help them succeed and the entire team to succeed. Regularly tell them your needs for the vision, their goals, their priorities for you, the resources that you need. The more positive that experience for them, and the more they can tie that to the vision, the more likely they are to do that again in the future. Typically, absentee managers often, instead of thinking forward and being positive, they think backward and are quite often negative. By backward, I mean they think about the fact that they avoided that risk yesterday, or that they got through that threat. By you going and asking them for this information, you can help them think forward. You can also bring them an example that you are a proactive team member and they have reasons to be positive and not negative, and that the rest of the team wants to help them succeed as well. This can mitigate a lot of their anxiety and help them to be less absent and more present with you. When you have to bring any questions to them, wait until they answer. Don't fill the silence. Again, an absentee manager is often one who has difficult conflict resolution. They don't want to bring bad news. They don't want to disagree with you. They don't want to hear bad news. They don't want to have conflicts. So if you are bringing a question, that implies that you need an answer. You need them to know something. You need them to be on the ball. They may hesitate. They may avoid. They may answer around your question. Just wait. If you fill the silence with the possible answers, or you come up with a lot of other related but a little bit off topic concerns and use that to kind of shotgun them in several different directions that also worry you, you're not going to get the answers you need. Give them the opportunity to answer, even if the silence makes you uncomfortable, because that's reminding them that they're really the go-to person. They're the one who needs to know these answers, and you look to them for guidance. If you provide those possible answers for them, or, hey boss, would you like to do this? And you give them a course of action 1, 2, and 3 all the time, that's really enabling them to be more absent. They don't have to think. They don't have to give you their guidance. They're just kind of sitting in their office, and you're really, in some ways, doing it for them. So the silence may be uncomfortable, but wait on them. Before you bring any concerns, slow your pulse, develop recommendations, and rehearse that before you go into your boss. Now, let's break these down. If you have concerns, you're probably angry or fearful or anxious in some other way, and your heart is pounding. If you've seen previous videos, you know that when our heart is pounding, it's drawing blood to our extremities for our fight or flight mode, and it's drawing it away from our brain so we don't think clearly. Slow your pulse down, get your heart rate down, come up with several recommendations if you're going to bring a concern, and rehearse that with you and a trusted colleague or in your own mind. Write it down, practice in your own office, so that when you can go in, you don't ramble, you don't go long, you don't mumble, you don't go off on tangents, but you can be very specific and brief. Again, you're talking to somebody who is typically an absent manager, and you want to make that as positive a time as possible for them. I know you're upset. I know, I'm not saying that this is what you would say, I'm saying to you. I know you're upset, and you'd like to go in and tell them all the many different reasons you have to be upset. But the goal, the longer goal, is the success of the team, and that means helping that leader to become more engaged and more comfortable at being engaged. And one of the ways you can do that is by going in calmly with a very rehearsed and specific presentation to them to help set them up for success and a good decision. Thank them for specific benefits of their leadership with the team for the vision. Let me break that up. In the previous videos I've said this as well. You got to catch them being good. Whenever they have done something specifically helpful to the team and the vision, you need to thank them for that and be very specific in it. Say exactly what they did, how that was helpful to the team's success, how that was helpful for progress toward the vision. Because whenever we are thanked for something, verbally, handshake, in front of others in private, we're more likely to repeat that thing. So they need to know what they did well, what the positive impact was, and that will begin to reverberate in their mind more than the threats of yesterday or the risks that they were able to survive. It'll let them know, hey, when I proactively engage my team, this is a good thing that can happen for the team and the vision, and that's going to come from you. If they continue to neglect the team, consider your options and follow through on one. We said something similar with micromanagers. If you and the rest of the team, over a long period of time, I'm not talking days or even weeks, over a long period of time, you're being helpful to your boss, you're trying to draw them out to be more initiating with the team, you've done as much as you can do or believe that you can do, you need to know your options. How can you get that person involved? That might mean going to their boss and say, look, my first line supervisor is never around. Now, before you do something like that, and that's just one example, you need to go to your boss first and lay it out and say, boss, we need more from you. We need more of you. You are an integral part of our team. You're a key part of our team as our leader, and we need you to engage with us more often, frequently, and specifically for the success of the team and the vision. And we're trying to help you, but it's not happening. And I'm ready to go to your boss to ask them to help us too, not as a threat to you, not because I don't like you, but because we need you. Make it positive, make it specific, and check out those options before you do that. Is your boss's boss willing to talk to them? Are you sure they're willing to talk to them? If there are other options that you need to employ, are those realistic? Will they follow through? And then lastly, go to your first line boss first and say, look, this is something I'm considering doing because I'm at our last straw. I don't know what else to do. So you give them an opportunity to respond first. Personally, some things you can do. Articulate, share, and lead your vision for your family or social teams. If you're not getting leadership from your boss, one of the things that you can do is to be a leader in your own home. You're lacking leadership, which is hindering you from growing as a leader. One of the best ways we grow is to be in positions of responsibility. You are already in that as a husband or a wife or a parent or your football coach or role model in your neighborhood. You're already in some position of leadership, the oldest brother, whatever you would name. Articulate your vision in those situations and begin to lead those groups. And that will help you come back to work more prepared to help your boss. Because as you go through the struggles of being a leader in your family or other groups, it'll be easier for you to empathize with your boss. Wow, I kind of understand why they want to avoid conflict sometimes. That's not always so easy. That'll help you be more compassionate. It'll give you some specific tools and ideas of how they might succeed because of ways that you succeeded with your family or your social teams. And it can be a win-win. Lastly, listen to others' specific praises of you that don't always come from your boss. If you have an absent manager at work, or we're talking about your spouse at home, or you're that ball player on your social team, you are in some group and the leader over you is not giving you feedback, positive or negative, you're going to have to listen hard to get it from other people. Because you need to know, are you a good team member? Are you doing well? What are the things that you are doing well? What do you need to do better at? Because we all need feedback. We all need to know how we're helping the team succeed so we can repeat those things and how we need to grow for the betterment of the team in general. Hope all those are helpful to you and give you some ideas. That's not a methodology. That's not a formula that if you do these 10 things, things will automatically be better. But there are suggestions that can help your leader to be a better leader. Next time we'll look to the absentee manager himself or herself and give some ideas about how they might improve their management leadership of the team. Hope to see you then.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research Development and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.